What is good, Mexiplanners? Yo, doing business in Mexico is slightly different than doing business in the United States. And today I'm gonna tell you about the #1 app that we use to conduct business here in Mexico. Stay tuned. Thank you for my returning visitors, and if you're new to the channel, know that this is a great place to get all of your expat questions answered. So please subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about the app WhatsApp on your phone, on your Android, on your desktop. It's literally on all the devices. And WhatsApp is used so much around the world, but not so much in the United States. I think I read a stat that said here in Mexico, over 68 million people use WhatsApp. That's about half the population. And throughout the world, there's over 2.5 billion messages transferred every single day on WhatsApp. One of the things that's really different and that I noticed here living in Mexico is that many businesses don't have a website. Instead, they'll either have a Facebook page, but all businesses, almost every single one of them, have a WhatsApp phone number or page. And so many things are done and conducted via WhatsApp. It's kind of unbelievable, but it's super convenient. All right, so let's get into the top 5 ways that we use WhatsApp here in Mexico. One last thing, if you stick around to the end, I'm gonna give you a tip on something that using the app, if you're new to the app, you're probably gonna wanna know about this. So stick around to the very end and I'll give you this, I call it the power tip for using WhatsApp. So the #1 way I use WhatsApp is probably on a daily basis, simply making reservations for dinner, for restaurants, for doctor's appointments, for whatever. And the cool thing about that is it's almost instant. I mean, people respond really quickly to WhatsApp, and they'll also have automated responses that'll kind of tell you exactly the information they need in order to make a reservation. In reality, I use WhatsApp far more than I do for reservations than I will actually pick up the phone and make a phone call, because I found that it's easier for me as a newbie to the language to actually text and then translate if necessary. But when I text, I can do it at a much slower pace and actually, think out my words as opposed to trying to have a real-time conversation. So again, the #1 tip for using WhatsApp is to make reservations, whether that's for restaurants, dentists, doctor's appointments, you name it. Almost every single appointment that I make or reservation or appointment is done through WhatsApp. The #2 way that I use WhatsApp is to buy goods and services. WhatsApp in Mexico does not have a payment option. I know they just enabled that option for places like India and Brazil, 2 of the larger markets. But in Mexico, there's not an option to actually pay over WhatsApp. However, you can still order goods and services over WhatsApp. Last week, I ordered some of the best bacon I think I've had in Merida from this deli that's located in Centro. And I didn't have to go to the deli. I simply found their WhatsApp. I reached out to them and told them, this is the type of bacon I want. It's actually the bacon that was sold at a very popular restaurant that I love here. And I reached out and said, hey, can I have some of this bacon that, the restaurant sells? Told them how much I needed. They sent me a price. It was 115 pesos, which is just over $5.65. So I reached out to them, they, told them how much I needed. They gave me a price of about 115 pesos for a pound of bacon. And that was the price delivered. They actually sent the bacon to my house via Uber Eats. And so Uber Eats delivered the bacon. I paid the person in cash. Voila, I had a pound of bacon from this deli and I didn't have to leave my house. So that's another great example of using WhatsApp for things that you wouldn't normally necessarily think to do, but it's totally possible to shop and to buy goods and services. I know people that have had furniture delivered over, purchased furniture online over WhatsApp, had it delivered to their house, all, through using the chat function within WhatsApp. So another great use, or the #3 way that we use WhatsApp here, is to drop a location of where you're currently located. And why that's important is because in Merida, every colonial will have very similar street numbers. So Merida is very much laid out on a grid system, but the streets will repeat from colonial to colonial, and it's very important to know when you leave one colonial and enter another. And then sometimes that very same street that you're driving on will actually change numbers. And why that's, a little difficult to understand, when you give an address here in Merida, Mexico, you have to give the street number, the actual address of the building. So, the number of the building and any letters that may be associated with that building. You also have to give a cross street reference. So between 22 and 24 as an example, or between 25 and 26, if those are the cross streets that the actual street goes between. So a good example would be, I live on, let's say, Calle 11 between 22 and 25 in Colonial, Mexico, as an example. That would be an example of an address here in Merida, Mexico. Even with that information, GPS will sometimes take people to weird places. So often when you're requesting, or when someone is requesting your directions or location, they'll ask you to send them your PIN or your WhatsApp location. And you can do that very simply in WhatsApp by dropping a PIN and saying, here's my location. And that helps people find, where you are a lot faster than, trying to give them directions, colonials, and streets, because sometimes a street may be on the border and it changes at the very next block. So giving location is the third way that we use WhatsApp on a pretty regular basis. The number 4 way that we use WhatsApp, and this is something that, is not used as often, but it's really handy, is when you have a group of people and you want a video chat to discuss something. So WhatsApp has multi-person group chat, video chat available within the app. WhatsApp also offers encrypted messaging end-to-end, which is why it's really popular, and that was probably one of the most popular things that was used early on. But they are really the leading app for messaging around the world. All right, so if you made it this far, the power tip for using WhatsApp is that there are groups available of different communities. So just like Facebook, WhatsApp actually allows you to easily create groups. So that could be groups of friends, that could be groups of people going to an event. One of the dopest groups here in Merida that started, about 2.5, maybe 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago, was for a friend's birthday party. Well, that birthday party group list was how many of us met everybody else here in Merida. So it was the very first time we got added to a group. We knew the person who was throwing the party for his brother. We all got added to that group, and what do you know? That group became almost like a yellow pages or a local directory, if you will, of who's here in Merida about 2 years ago. In those groups, if you're looking for, items in the grocery store or whatever, those groups are really, really powerful for just getting information across. So the number 5 way that we use WhatsApp is WhatsApp groups here in Merida, Mexico. Now, the power tip that I will give you, that if you've made it this far, is that you can mute those groups. So you don't have to receive notifications for every single message that comes across. If for whatever reason you join a group, it's too chatty, or you need to get out of that group, or you don't want to exit the group because you may have a question, you just want to turn down the noise or the volume of some of the messages, you can actually mute that group for a couple of hours, a couple of days, for whatever, right? You have the ability to say, just mute the notifications. I'll catch up on it when I can. But I'll give you an example. There are many, many groups. For instance, there's a men's dads group here in Merida. There's a mom's group here. There are homeschooling groups. There are all sorts of kind of groups for different interests here in Merida, Mexico. So once you get here, get plugged into a group. That's my power tip for you today, and thank you for watching to the end. Hey, what's the number 1 thing that you use WhatsApp for? Leave me comments below and let me know what your favorite feature of the WhatsApp app is. Until next time, if you like this video, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, press that subscribe button, and ring the bell. I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you for watching. Until next time, Mexitplans Monty, I'm out.